Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chasing Psychological Safety video series. This week we're here to talk about data. Data isn't a dirty word. Data is misunderstood. We want to talk about how important, but not just important, how data is important, but it's also the thing that is going to help us if we embrace it and learn to re-embrace it positively. Is going to help us move forward and move from this static position of talking about the human work, but not actually quite getting anywhere with the human work that I think we all feel frustrated about. Going to take us beyond that stage to the stage where we're doing something, we're moving fast, and we're really, really creating magic for the teams and the people in our organizations. So why has data become such a difficult word? Why has it become something that we don't see as sitting alongside and as part of the human work and our productivity? There's a little bit in there about the history of data, isn't there? All of the ways in which it's been mistreated by organizations, the way in which performance management has ended up being a punitive exercise, the way in which when we've measured people's performance and their outputs and their inputs, it's become something that has really ended up in difficult conversations or punitive situations instead of data that is used in a way that's going to really show us what we can do differently and how we can do it differently. So we want to demystify the word. We want to change it from being misunderstood to being something that is really understood and embraced and becomes part of the way in which we engage with the people in our organizations and really become productive again.
Yes, I think it's really important that we reframe the idea of data collection, measurement in our heads. I think it's really important that we think deeply about what performance is, what productivity is, how we ended up in a world where productivity is something that sounds bad, is beyond me. But I urge everyone that has an intrinsic data issue to think of a situation where data is benefit to them. And almost all of us can kind of relate to attempting to better ourselves in some way. Some of us do sports, some of us might want to attempt to lose weight, some of us might attempt to grow in some other fashion in terms of their personal goals. Anytime we undertake some type of serious attempt to better ourselves, we will crave data personally as humans, right? We will immediately look for some of us in more detail than others because we're slightly more obsessed with the numbers. But irrespective of how much you do or do not like numbers, if you're attempting to better yourself, you're going to want to see the numbers that will show that you have made progress, right? So you will immediately start poring over graphs. You'll want to see the differences between a week and another and so on. And you look at that data with curiosity and empathy towards your own self, and you look at it with no fear because it is between you and yourself, and it will just inform your next move. So that's the type of data relationship that we should end up having in an enterprise fashion as well. The reason we don't is because it is never open and honest and devoid of consequences and only there to inform our next move. It is almost always there with some type of risk of loss of image, risk of loss of monetary or professional status. It always comes with the fear that it will give our imposter syndrome reasons to have existed all along. It will potentially, sink our Christmas bonus. Who knows what's going to happen when people start looking into how we've been performing? It's a silly fear to have, obviously, because the vast majority, if you look at the numbers, the vast majority of our workers are performing 10 times better than they did before the pandemic. They are productive despite the fact that they are home. They are working real hard, is how we ended up having all this burnout. So there's nobody that's slacking. So there's no reason to have this fear, really. What there is a long history, like Fionn was saying, of other times when this data has come to bite our employees. So they don't want to look at it. Again, if we manage to get to a place where people want to see data because they know it helps them improve and get better and have a better life, then we're golden. All we need to do is capture that curiosity about data as informing our next actions, and make it feel safe to interrogate that data. And then we can talk about what kind of analytics should we put in place. And most importantly, I think it's really key that as a team leader, as a leader of any sort, when you open up the floor for these conversations towards where should work happen, for how long, what are we discussing as outcomes, what do we understand to be our KPIs and our priorities for next year, when we have those conversations, it's worth also having a serious conversation towards data and saying to our people, what do you feel comfortable being measured on? What would you like to see that we ask? How would you like to see that coming back to you? Because that is part of what has burned people. On the one hand is the punitive nature of the data relationship. On the other hand is the fact that they have continuously for a long time sent things into the void and nothing has come back, and they have seen no real results and effects of their part of the dialogue. So without closing the feedback loop and without showing that it's not punitive, they don't want to engage again. So have those conversations, ask, what do we do so we remove the fear? What do we do so that you get to a place of curiosity in which you would feel as comfortable looking at your performance at work as you do looking at your performance in the gym in your own graphs? So have those talks with your own people, then take that message to HR, take that message to leadership and say, this is what they would welcome as a conversation on data. How do we get to that point? As ever, come talk to us. More than happy to, obviously, if you already have our software, we're more than happy to make sure that we have those harder conversations as to how to connect your rewards and your compensation to the work you're doing on the people work. And that's the next step of it. So we expect that next year, a lot of our clients are going to sit down again and go, right, now that we are doing the people work, how do we get compensated for it? How do we get recognized for our efforts and so on? So that's part of the conversation. If you're not a client yet, come talk to us. We would love to get you on. And if you can't do any of those things, just kind of keep doing the really hard work of pushing the boulder up the hill on your own. Happy to help with any other tips that we can. Thanks a lot, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.